Hi everyone, I'm back again this week for another tricky words lesson. Now last week you learned 5 new tricky words, and the reason we did 5 last week was because they all had a similar pattern in them, didn't they? Can you remember what that was? Yeah, they all had this word in them, didn't they? This was the word all, and all your words that you learned last week all had those letters in them along with some others as well. So let's see if we can read through the big pile of tricky words I've got here, including the ones that we learned last week, and then we'll go on and learn some new ones. Here we go. All, ball, small, tall, call, are, we, my, your, be, so, I, do, me, said, of, her, the, was, he, love, to, she, you, and no. Very good. I wonder if you were able to beat me and say them before I did. You could always rewind the video back to the start and try that part again and see if you can beat me before I say them. It's time now to look at our new words we're going to learn this week. And this week I've got 3 new words for you to learn. And the first one, I think you will manage to learn this one no bother because it actually already rhymes with 2 of the other ones we already know. So 2 of the ones we already know are these 2 here. So we've got no and so. And the word that we're going to do today rhymes with these words. And it's this one. Go. So no and so, they both have the o on the end, don't they? So does go. But instead of being an o, it makes an o sound in these words, doesn't it? Instead of it being no, so and go, we say no, so and go. And we know, don't we, that when we say our tricky words, the tricky words actually sound a little bit different than what we would think. Okay, and that's because we just have to memorize our tricky words. We don't sound them out. Okay, so this word that we've got to start with is the word go. Let's go to the park. Or let's go to the shops. I wonder if you can come up with a sentence using the word go and tell somebody at home. Maybe you could pause the video here and tell someone. So we've learned our first word, which was go, and I've got 2 other words to teach you today. And the other 2 words, I'm going to show you them together because they actually come as a pair. They're a wee bit like special friends. They come together. Okay, and you'll see why when I show you them. The 2 words we've got are these ones here. Now, you might be thinking, these look very similar. If I was to cover up this s on this one, they both have the same letters, exactly the same, don't they? But this one's slightly different. So let's start with this word. This word says Mr, as in Mr. Bennett at school. If we were going to talk to Mr. Bennett, or write down his name, this is what we would need at the start, Mr. It doesn't look at all how it sounds, because it sounds like m-i-st-er, doesn't it, Mr. But this is how we write the word Mr, if we were going to write somebody's name. And you can see because it would be on somebody's name, it's got a capital M at the start, doesn't it? Because we know that we have to have capital letters at the start of names. So this one says Mr. I wonder if you know what this one's going to say then. What would be the thing that would go with Mr? What would be the opposite of Mr? Mr. and Mrs. Like Mrs. Jones, or Mrs. Patterson, or Mrs. Jenkins. We've got lots of people in our school that have the word Mrs. at the start. My name doesn't. I'm still a Miss. I'm Miss Farquharson. So that's just M-I-S, isn't it? There's a double S on the word Miss. But that one's not a tricky word because we can sound that one out. Whereas these 2 are tricky ones because they do not sound the way we would think. Okay? Or they don't look, sorry, the way that we would imagine that they would. So Mrs. and Mr. Mrs. Mr. So those are two that you can practice. I wonder if you can think of anybody you know that's got Mr. at the start or Mrs. at the start. Can you think of anybody else at school that maybe has a Mr. or a Mrs. at the start? The Mrs. one might be easier because we don't have very many Misters at school, do we? In fact, I think the only two people we've got at our school that have a Mr. on them both actually have the same surname, Mr. Bennett. We've got Mr. Bennett in the nursery and Mr. Bennett, the janitor. And I think those are our only two Misters in our school, isn't it? The rest of them are either Miss or Mrs. So you can have a wee think about which Mrs. people you can think of from our school. Our 3 words for this week are go, Mrs. and Mr. And I would like you to try and practice reading these ones and writing them at home. And you will find on our Tricky Words PowerPoint, which is on the website and our Teams page, you will find those new words, and then you will also find the words that we've learned over the last few weeks in amongst all the tricky words we know so far. And it would be great if you could keep practicing reading those and writing those, because it's really good practice to keep doing that, so that when we come back to school, I will see a big difference in your writing because you're going to know how to read and write these words. Well done. I'll see you again next time.